And we got Coach Siravo on live from training camp.
Steady.
He's chewing gum, he's chewing jerky. Who knows what he's doing? But he doesn't need any introduction, guys. This is awesome. Coach Siravo, inside linebacker coach, run game with the Minnesota Vikings. We had a great lineup so far. A lot of BC guys. We wanted to start off with honoring Coach Govs. So start off with the easy one. What does Coach Govs mean to you, Coach?
Yeah, let me start. He's watching and he's laughing because I'd like to be transparent. We are in camp, but I got my time zones fucked up, Danny. So at 9 o'clock out here, I'm like, yeah, I'm great. It's 9 o'clock. And I see your text. I'm like, you fucking idiot, man. It's 9 o'clock Eastern. So, Bill, I hope you're getting a laugh out of that, as you have at my expense for many years. Um, Coach McGovern, I got to play for him in 1996, and I was a walk-on. And the first thing I'll tell you about him is, until the day he passed, he taught me how to treat everybody with dignity. For guys who may have walked on somewhere or weren't the best player on the team, he connected with a player that he didn't know and could get nothing from as a person when I was a player. And I met him for that year or two, and then I had the good fortune of GAing for him when he came back to BC, when he left Pittsburgh, came back to Boston College. So now I got to work, underneath him, and he was a mentor. And again, I can't tell you how much it shaped how I treat people, and watched him interact around the Boston College campus with the equipment staff and the guys who took care of the field, and student workers. Just, it seemed like the lower you were on the totem pole, the greater the dignity he treated you with. And it was genuine, because those were his people, as you know. So then I got to work with him and learn from him, and become lifelong friends and know his family. And he just taught me how to treat people. He taught me how to make sure you have great relationships with your players, and to always be able to kind of keep this game simple and keep the main thing the main thing. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't want to pick up the phone and call him. Or he left me a birthday message last year, and I still have it saved. I'll just listen to it because his voice gives me chills, as it always has. So very, very lucky to have, gotten to know him and been a part of his life, and be able to call him a friend. Just an honor.
Yeah, putting this on, I've been sent so many things, right? Like paragraphs, same testament you just gave it. Right? It's like his voice, and obviously I'm looking back on my text, right? You said no connection, like the bottom of the totem pole. It's exactly the story I shared, earlier with. He has no ego. He helped me when I was 24-year-old D3 coach, right? And brought me to wherever I wanted to be and give me access. What a great dude. So I appreciate that. And obviously his family is super appreciative and grateful. We appreciate your time. Seriously, Coach. I know just off the practice field, making time for him and making time for the linebacker community. So night's going great. We had Luke. We had a bunch of your ex players on here. It's been a great night.
Well, thank you for doing this. This is such a great idea,
Right.
and I hope stuff like this carries on, because I think this game is so unique. There's no handbook, there's no courses. When you want to get into it, you got to dive in and fail, and hope that you come across good people who share stories and share techniques and schemes and drills, and then things like this. If after the COVID era Zoom calls, if we can do this to learn and stay in touch, this is awesome. I'm grateful to be here.
No, thank you so much. So you've worked with obviously Bill McGovern, Matt Rule, Brian Flores. How is working for different guys? There's a lot of coaches on this call trying to learn, and a lot of players as well. But how is working for some of these guys, and obviously creating your own approach, kind of shaped how you develop players? Like, obviously working for different personalities, but you could probably do a whole Zoom on just the different.
Yeah, that's such a 3-hour question. It's awesome, and I'm here all night. I not just because I got to do my penance for screwing up your schedule, but I'm done for the night. So whatever you need. But I would say I'm going to answer this in a little bit of a roundabout way. Something's kind of hit me as I start to want to really try to become a coordinator at this level, and as I build lists of staffs. To answer your question, how have those guys shaped me and how I coach? And more importantly, the people I want to surround myself with. I think that a great coach, in terms of someone that I want to be thought of to hire, or I want to hire, is someone who's a great teacher on the field and in the classroom, which is very obvious. It's kind of cliche, but we have to be great teachers. We have to, I was at my kid's soccer practice the other day, and he had a great coach who said to him, I don't ever want someone yelling at a player unless it's information, none of this name calling or anything like that. So you got to be a great teacher. You have to have a great football capacity. So if you and I are going to have a conversation about football and we're going to take it to different levels, I think you have to have a football capacity that you can be talking about something, switch topics, go to a different level of the defense. And, you've got to have that mindset. And it's only through film study and experience and coaching that you can get that. But this is the most important one to me, to answer your question. I think emotional intelligence is one of the most important things when you shape a staff and when you shape players in the room. I mean, we sometimes select players at this level to improve the chemistry of a room or a defense. And we've missed players who aren't the best player because we miss their glue or their chemistry. And to me, it's working from Flo to Rule to Phil Snow to McGovs to Spaz to all these different guys to Bob Shoop. You have to be able to know how you as a human react emotionally to situations. What are your strengths and weaknesses when shit happens on the fly? How do you react? And can you self-talk and say, hey, this is not the time to lose your shit right now? My boss is having a bad day. He's wrong right now. I know he is. I don't need to win that at that moment. Like, just the emotional intelligence not to screw up the room, not to mess up the vibe of your players in the room. That's something that's become so important to me. And as I see and work with staffs where I see some things fall off or fail, it's usually because there's some people who can't keep it together from a social IQ standpoint, as crazy as that sounds,
Understanding social cues.
Yep.
It's a big piece. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, obviously, emotional intelligence, I always realized as the ability to connect. But when you look at it the other way, like just withedness too, that's also
yes. It is the ability to connect, but it's the ability to know how you connect and how you react and what your triggers are when you have to say, hold on, this is not the fight I want to fight right now. Or, we need a moment of levity right now. I got to crack a joke. Or player, you pushed them too far. I got to pull them in. It's more about self-awareness. And then, how other people react to situations, you react to situations, and just trying to keep that chemistry and that forward movement in the room, I think is important.
Yeah, no doubt. And well said and well put. And the emotion for the coaches listening, all right, the withedness, the emotional intelligence, that's obviously an important factor, not only to your players, but obviously to how your staff operates and who's watching is the players first, always, right? How you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? Everyone watches your example. Everyone's a servant leader in that way. Getting into linebacker intelligence, because you're in the NFL, you're coaching inside linebackers. Some of the, Luke was on here before breaking down stuff. It was awesome. One thing we didn't really get into was coverage. Researching what the Vikings do, it's probably the most incredible stuff. What you ask your linebackers to do in coverage, whether it's, kind of talk about how you teach them coverage. You ask them to do a lot, obviously, zone drop, landmarks, routes, quarterback intent, screens, just kind of talk to me holistically, 30,000.
Sure.
30,000 people, yeah. Linebacker coverage.
No, that's great. The first thing is I got to figure out what the guy's coverage IQ is. And is he an instinctive coverage guy who can't handle a lot of detail and words that happen on the fly in football, in-flight adjustments after the ball snapped? Is he a guy that just, played a lot of basketball, soccer, played a lot of sports with spatial awareness and knows how to feel the timing of a body moving in front of him, behind him. Can he do that? If he can, and he's not like a super cerebral guy, then just keep it real simple for him. Build up kind of what the fundamentals of the coverage are. And then usually those guys like the cheat code. The cheat code to me is I'm in the room tonight and I got a new player and he keeps getting beat on the stick route by number 3 tight end in quarters. He keeps backing up. And I keep saying to him, you have a backside safety over the top. And he does, he's got a tricks or whatever you want to call it, that safety that plays from the backside to 3. I was like, this allows you to be aggressive on anything low by number 3. Don't worry about getting beat over the top. And that's the kind of guy that needs the basics and then some cheat codes that he thinks can cheat him into a play. Then you have the players that need the Navy SEAL contingency plan for every route. So, hey, it's quarters and I'm walked out on 2 and I see the ball snapped and I got to snap my eyes to 2. I want to read his stem, his speed, his release. I want to see he breaks out. I match it. If it's quick game, I match it. If it's a dummy route, I want to get some depth in the curl. Vertical, I want to pack it in. If it's in, I want to deliver. They want all the answers of everything that can happen in a play. And there are just some players that can't handle that. So the first thing, let me go back. I have to ID, what can I teach this guy? Okay. And then what we do, what Flo does here, which is great, is we put things into buckets or boxes of coverage. Like, hey, these are all of our landmark spot drop zones that are vision break for, cover 2, cover 3, and then all your simulators off those. Let's just try to teach everybody how to take a cover 3 hook drop, a cover 3 curl flat at every position that's going to do it, because we're going to interchange the pieces. Let's just get the fundamental of the landmark, the set, melt, break right. And then we can talk about, okay, you got the over route, you got a hinge for the 7. So we put them in buckets, spot drop zone, 6-man rush hot, cover 1 help, quarters, cover 6, cover 8, which is quarter, half.
Principles, but in different.
Yeah, we when they come in, we put the buckets in first. We say, this is this bucket of coverages.
Buckets, whatever.
We can run 5 down, drop a guy off the line of scrimmage and play quarters. We can run that, play cover 3, but we can run so many versions of quarters if you'll all learn the bucket. So the whole off season for us is teaching those buckets of coverage in pods on the field. So the inside backer room, outside backer room, corner safeties, nickels, they're going to go and we're going to station out all of those different coverage buckets and spend about 3 days on them, watch tape on them, come back in as a whole group and watch tape on them. I love having the veterans in the room. You got a 14-year Hall of Fame safety. You got Metellus. You got some great linebackers, like a guy like Luke. Shut up, coaches. Let those guys teach them when the film's on. Like, you tell us all the things you've learned and your common sense has taught you and what you've articulated in your own mind about how to play this coverage. So we teach those buckets. We spend days on them at a time in OTAs in the off season, instead of like a clever little defense that stops one thing or coaching one play, getting everybody's IQ up on, hey, we're in the quarters world now. We can be in dime. We can be in 3-man rush, a 6-man front and drop the edges. And then once we teach conceptually the coverage, now the package comes to life, because we try to do very simple things that make life very difficult for the offense. That's our goal. Keep it simple for our guys, make it very complicated for the offense. And when we talk coverage, I'll summarize, what can the guy learn? And then, let's teach the buckets to that guy.
Yeah, to summarize for the coaches, what the guys can learn is a recurring theme from what we've been hearing from the coaches, at least. Don't ask a player to do something he can't do. Right?
No.
30,000 feet, that makes a lot of sense. Number 2, all right, let's package things in different buckets that are all the same, but just different here, there, and the third, right? So it's an easier way to to teach, because that's what you talked about in the beginning, just being a master teacher, understanding how different guys learn. And obviously that's a big piece in coverage. And zone drop is not hard like to think about, like drop to the curl. It's not hard. The pattern matching and actually the technique in man is actually tougher to teach than technically the zone buckets of what you're actually where you are in the field.
Correct.
Talk to me about, you guys play man. Obviously I've seen it. You guys do, pattern match stuff. Does that fall in the same buckets, or is that different day?
Yeah. So we start with the small and we grow it out. So if you came here day one and we were putting quarters in, I'd line everybody up with a partner and teach the basic route tree of a number 2 in quarters. And we're gonna hammer that. Like if you come to my Indy, so day one Indy for 20 minutes, there was no sled, there was no bags, there was no tackling. It was 20 minutes on how to play a number 2 receiver as a tight end or detached number 2 in quarters. The out, the up, the in. All right. And then I incorporate, okay, he goes up, I got to see 2 to 1. Now I incorporate number 3, and we build out from the small until we perfect it. That was a Frank Spazianiism, right? I know whatever his head coach record was, he's one of the smartest coaches I've ever been around. He said, teach A, reteach A, go to B. If they get B wrong, go back to A. And he said that all the time. And there's nothing more true. As soon as you jump to step M of the process and you think you've got A through L, you're screwed. So we start that way. We teach individually. I teach half line the next day. So now I bring my 3-player and 2-player in quarters. And let's talk about push calls when 3's fast. Let's talk about passing things off. Then the next day I'll get together with the DBs and we'll pattern match. We'll run the basic routes that we see all the time in this league against that coverage. 1 coverage. We're not going to just throw out 5 coverage that day. We're going to get good at 1 coverage. I'm talking here now because we can't have too much. We have free agents come in on Tuesdays. We have rookies come in and 15-year vets. It's all over the road. So you really got to learn to keep it simple. And then we'll go back in and watch it on tape. Then we'll go 7-on-7, and then we'll go teamwork with that 1 coverage until we feel like guys really have an idea of what that is. So you have here in this building, you have a rush 6 hot third bucket. You have a spot drop zone 3 and 2. You have a man no help. You have a max blitz bucket. You have palms, which is rush 5, 2 deep, 4 under. You have your tricky 2s, we call them. We want every variation of rotation in cover 2, so the quarterback has no idea it's cover 2. And as soon as a guy learns basic Tampa, and we can let the light go on there and be really good at that, now we can just say, hey, today we're going to man align, and you're going to run with motion, and wherever you end up, if you're number 1, you're going to play the squat corner. I got to teach my backers how to play squat. If you're 2, you're going to play the poach. If you're 3, you're going to middle run through. And what I love about flow is we're not going to move on until we get that right, because that's what gets you beat in critical situations throughout the year, is the simple things and the simple coverage that you need to go be able to execute cover 2 in a 2-minute drill, and your poacher doesn't get enough depth. So we're going to spend all off season and say, hey, there's 5 things on this defense that we have to come out of this off season with. And that's all we're going to focus on. The hell with everything else. And that better be what we're engineering every day.
Yeah, minimizing goals to maximize potential, right? For coaches, that's a powerful tool, right? If you can have smaller set of goals, it maximizes the potential on the other side of it, right? And obviously the coverage piece, there's a lot to it, and the way you teach it, I think what you were explaining is the best way you can. Moving to tackling, you give some powerful presentations as a college coach on tackling, right? The one you give and when I saw it at Temple was powerful. The 10-yard tackle, the open field tackle. I don't know if you still remember that, but
yeah, I do, because the guy I worked for, the D coordinator, changed my life, and he was a lunatic, and I love him, so I do remember those.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal, and obviously we don't have enough time to go over all of it, right? But as it transitions college to the NFL, is tackling still taught Is your philosophy still there? What's your philosophy with tackling as it goes from those college linebackers to the NFL?
I love this one. I absolutely love this one. So we were my whole life, and reiterated at Temple even, we were kind of a build a base, club up, power clean,
Sure.
bite the chin strap world. And we had the rugby guys come in, and I hated it.
Me too.
I hated it, and I fought it. And then I came all the way around on it, and here's why. And I still use it to this day, and we actually use it here on special teams. We all speak the same language in the building, so our special teams coach.
It has to be, right?
It has to be. There are places right now though where the special teams coach teaches, this version of tackling and these buzzwords, and the defense does this. It can't be. It can't be. So we all use the same language, and I would try to simplify it like this. The number one thing is same foot, same shoulder, near foot, near shoulder, to create dominant contact. So what happened to us, Dan, with the club up tackle was you give up a lot of leaky yardage. Once in a while, you get this amazing strike, paint shattering strike, and you club up. But most of the time, we're coming off blocks, and a running back is in the hole, and it takes a special dude to build his base and power clean and club up. So my guys make fun of me because every day, if somebody runs by a ball carrier and does that jump club up, I have a fit, the whiz. I hate it because for a couple of reasons. We want to load our shoulder and keep our head out, as crazy as this sounds, and go near foot, near shoulder, create a power angle, and create dominant contact. And once I bought into it and learned how to drill it and did it, I was like, the ball carrier does not gain an inch once you make contact with him. Right. As opposed to getting run over slow in the square up, the classic profile tackle. I won't teach that anymore. So the first thing is near foot, near shoulder, knee over toe, hips over knee, chest out front, create that power angle where if I told you to push a car or hold up a wall, you certainly wouldn't come into it like this. You would drive into it. So we teach that. The second thing I love about that is we're out of the club up world and we're into the down punch world to load the shoulder, which we're always teaching turnovers. We had 33 turnovers last year. We led the league, and we do it every day. It's the most important thing to the D coordinator. He takes the beginning of every meeting, and the special teams coach comes in and goes over every turnover opportunity, every one that was created in the league. And it all starts with tackling with that near foot, near shoulder. We say the arm is an extension of your shoulder, and we want to punch down on the ball, not club up. So
simultaneous contact is something I keep hearing too, with at the same time, right? Because if you're winding up to do it, what's the natural? You're gonna quench up, right? So
yep.
It's something I studied. So getting the ball is obviously the forefront, and making sense to that form of tackling is now you're getting strip opportunities, right?
Yes.
So obviously, as you prioritize your linebackers, right? When you're in your linebacker room, you're prioritizing what's important. If you're not running to the ball, it's a crime against the team, right? If you miss a tackle, it's a cardinal sin. If you don't go for a strip attempt, you're missing opportunities. Is there a balance? Is there something that you believe in as a coach? Is it true?
Yeah. So if you come in our room, we're going to have the head coach's philosophy, the defensive coordinators, and then our room is going to be effort, physicality, and no bullshit. And we're not going to have any other rules after that. Too many rules. If I react the same way when you mess up a line game with a defensive end as I do when you don't run to the ball, I'm a moron. So effort and physicality is the only thing I'm going to lose my mind about. It's what's going to put you on the bench. Going back to tackling, the fundamental foundation is near foot, near shoulder. And then we just teach two kinds of tackles, really. If I have you, and this is mostly for linebackers and especially DBs, if I have you in the open field squared up and you have a three-way go and you have control of your body, then we say come to balance.
Right.
So we're going to long stride to short stride, making sure we don't sit back in the chair, making sure that we're not like a wide out running a route or a horse.
Hinge, right? You still use that hinge?
Yes. Yep. So I've got to make sure my weight's out over my toes and that I find we coached it today. I was telling the guys, you have to find your control speed. When you're in the open field on a squared up running back with nobody else, you can't long stride. You can't be out of control. You're going to give up some yardage in an open field tackle. It's not going to be a big hit. So we need to come to balance. We got to get our eyes to the bottom of the numbers. And now we're looking for stick, meaning the ball carrier gives me a foot fake and I'm going to go opposite. I never did these drills with you. I was an awful teacher in college in 2007, 8, 9.
I heard that presentation. I've been running stick, logo, hinge. I've been applying it for years. So keep going. I mean, this is.
And the last thing is, we say if you get a square profile with control, you must come under control. And then if you get a east-west, a lateral presentation, we just say smoke the near hip. Smoke the near hip and keep your head on the backside and turn into a roll tackle. Yeah. And that's all we talk about. You know, the D line's different. Those are big body tackles. But with the secondary, the DBs, the linebackers, we talk about angle tackles and open field profile tackles. And then as soon as you can get into the drill, that last step wants to be, I tell them, take 2 more steps than you think and go near foot, near shoulder. Always take 2 more steps near foot, near shoulder. I want to punch every time, and I got to finish the punch with my feet, and we get the ball out.
Yeah, it's the same philosophies that you talked about from, you know, when in your early days at Temple, when you obviously learned all that stuff. And the tackling, the stuff that we see and the stuff that we heard is that exactly. So it's just reiterating the point from the great linebackers that have been on this call, and then seeing that when you were, I guess, going all the way back, when you were recruiting, and you're probably happy you're not, but when you were recruiting a linebacker and now you're seeing a linebacker for the draft, if you're a college linebacker, a bunch of college linebackers on this call, what are you looking for to make them pro ready?
This is so fun and simple. A real pro linebacker wants to hit the ball carrier every play.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Period. It's not that hard. If you turn on a high school tape at Brown to recruit a guy, if he doesn't hunt the ball every play, don't recruit him. You can't convince a guy to want to hunt. Right? Awesome. You can teach a guy that hunts how to play pass and play man, but you know, we watch free agents, we watch guys in the draft, and people come back with traits and hand size and knee width and arm length and all this. And I'm like, what about this guy? He is dying to, it looks like he wants to tackle the ball more than he wants to breathe every play. So if I can start there, I'm going to be in a great place. Now, there's some nuance here where we need coverage guys. Like I need a dime linebacker to cover a back. So when I first got to the NFL, I was like, that guy won't hit a soul. And you know, some of the veteran players and coaches are like, well, he's got to roll because you only got 53 guys. Everyone can't be a first down, you know, Billy Goat gruff linebacker. You got to have a guy that can, you know, cover a tight end, can cover a back and still tackle somebody. So there's a little bit of that, but you just got to turn on tape and see guys that love to make every play and don't ask you a lot of questions about how do I make that play. I don't mean don't ask scheme questions, but you've had those players. Do I spill this? Do I box this? How do I get to the ball? And then you got guys that just know how to undress blockers and get to the ball. And they are dying to make a tackle. That's what I look for.
That's well said. I think we were talking to Luke earlier. It was block destruction. We brought up phase and block destruction. How far are you away from the ball in terms of if you have to strike them, right? And if you have to whoop his ass, rather than if you're out of phase and you got plenty of time, well, they're on landmarks. Just go underneath them and slip some things. Block destruction, in your eyes, is that all about phase in terms of whether you're striking or whether you're eluding? Or kind of what's your philosophy?
Yeah, I don't have screen share and all that stuff because I've lost my technological touch. But if you can imagine just putting a blocker on the line of scrimmage and then having three different running backs behind him at different locations.
Yep.
Right behind him, to the right of him, to the left, from about 7 yards back, and just run wide zone each way or straight downhill duo and pick a different ball carrier, so it creates a different relationship every time. I do that drill because guys need to understand that if there's no room, then I need to make the tackle with the blocker's body. I need to stuff the hole and make the running back stop his feet. That's a tackle to me, if I can get the back to stop his feet. If the back's ahead of the blocker, I am swimming, I'm clubbing, I'm ripping, I'm chopping hands, I'm going. And if the blocker's ahead of the ball carrier, I'm using my athleticism and the blocker's lack of vision to set him up high and then foot fake and backdoor him. And I'm just going to drill the shit out of that until I see it come to life. That's what I do for Block Pro. And besides that, we hit this grip and rip sled. I want to bruise up the pads of their hands and make them real, make sure we know how to strike, near foot, near shoulder punch. But I'm just going to create all the different distances, widths, and speeds that a linebacker gets when he gets a screen, when he gets tossed, when he gets duo downhill. Those are pretty easy to create with one blocker or two blockers and different positioned and depth ball carriers. And now I got to come off and block, beat a block and go make a play. That's all I do for Block Pro. And I don't even teach anything. I just say react to it,
Right. And sometimes if you give them those tools, they're able to execute them at a high level. A lot of guys have been, I guess, obsessing over strike timing, right? Like in terms of the college game, there's a lot of drill work and things on strike timing and almost punching it like a boxer. It's not engaging in bench pressing. It's that finish of the punch, right? It's like you end here and then that's the part that wins. Do you teach strike timing in terms of block destruction stuff?
Yeah. I identify, to me, there's one of two players, it's really three in block destruction. There is an absolute kick-ass 250-pound guy who can put his nose through anybody, knock him back, stun him, wrestle him, throw him. That's a rare breed. The next one is guys need to be able to use their hands, not to try to go match blows with the blocker, but just to create separation. So now I'm talking about more of a little guy, and you got to use your hands. And I don't want your face anywhere near this guy. I want you to just create some separation and give ground to create space for yourself. So that's the second kind of guy, is a guy who needs to create space, but can't really win the fight. And the third one is those wrestlers you've had, those athletes you've had that know how to create leverage by their opponent and get them leaning and slip them, get them running and slip them, use their hands, get them leaning forward and throw them. That's also really cool. So I really look at what guy do I have and what do I need to work on, but I'm not going to beat my head against the wall with a 220-pound guy who can't take on a 330-pound guard. I'm going to just help him, like, look, you're coming down here and you're trying to create separation. Or look, you're a great athlete. I want you to think about making this guy miss all the time. It's going to extend your career. There is a time where everyone has to address a blocker and nut up. But right now it's about 2 or 3 times a game on tape for me, as opposed to the other athleticism with wide zone and the counter angles and whatnot.
Your core philosophy it's about the player you're coaching. It's not about your core philosophy and what you believe in as a linebacker.
No, man, you better be adaptable. You better be adaptable.
As long if you're just I want to be a striker. I want everyone to be you got to coach the player in the room differently depending on who it is. That might not apply to strength and conditioning, but it definitely applies to linebacker play. Coach, we'll end with one last question. I know you got time. You're busy. You're working in Philly training camp. This is unbelievable that you're here. Obviously, you started for the coaches in the room. We'll end with the coaches. You started as a grad assistant, now coach of the NFL. What belief or habit early in your career kind of still guides you, whether it's a lesson you learned from a player, coach, kind of what guides you still this day?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Put your nose down. shut the fuck up and go to work, uplift the people around you, and just be great at the jobs you've been given. Be great at the jobs you've been given, and more responsibility will come your way. Whatever the job is, just do it better than anybody else. Take extreme ownership of it. Stop worrying about the rest of the world and wasting energy on who's where and who has what contract. Just be great in your little world. You know, if I got a 20-minute meeting, I'm going to sit there in the morning and say, how can I be what I think is the best linebacker coach in the world in the next 20 minutes? What can I do for my players? And then I'll worry about the rest of the day. And I'm not going to think about anything else. And I'm not going to gossip about people. I'm not going to go bickering about contracts. I'm just going to put my fucking nose down, go to work, and try to be great at the jobs they give me, and more jobs will come your way.
No, that's well said, Coach. Powerful message, obviously, about coverage for the coaches. We cover coverage, covered tackling, and just super grateful that you joined us. Obviously, right off the field, right out of meetings. Minnesota Vikings. Watch them this year. Coach is obviously doing a great job with them, and they do some awesome stuff, and they'll lead the league again under his leadership. So appreciate you. Obviously, all for Govs and all for the BC Brotherhood. So. Appreciate you, brother.
Danny. Love you, man. You're doing an amazing job. I'm proud of you and grateful for what you're doing, connecting generations of football. Please keep doing this. I'll do this anytime with you. I'll get my fucking time zone right, too.
Love you, man.
All right, Coach. See you.